Hello, guys, and welcome to Godly Psyched.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So I'm back with my 3 a.m. thoughts segment, and for tonight, okay, I did the same. We're supposed to be a 3 a.m. talk, but again, our speaker cannot go that at that time. But we will just share our thoughts that we have before we go to sleep or during at night. Um, so my guest today, I'm very happy to have him in our show. He is a missionary TCM missionary to Cambodia. And though I'm not really acquainted with him, but I'm very acquainted with his wife. She was a friend of mine when I was still in high school. Anyways, so our guest for tonight is none other than Pastor James Bermejo. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Pastor Steve.
so, uh, so Pastor James, you are a missionary to where right now? If you may share with us.
Sure, thanks. At present, my wife and I are here in Cambodia for almost 4 years now.
Yeah, but I kind of remember that you also had a bachelor's degree in secondary education, if I'm right, right?
Yes, I graduated bachelor in secondary education in at Wesleyan College of Manila last 2006.
So you were so before prior for being a missionary, you went teaching.
Uh, After I graduated with my college degree, uh, because it's a kind of a normal thing that at least you need to apply what you
True,
have
true, true.
graduated. So I went on to teach at high school in my hometown in
Okay.
Zamboanga del Sur for 4 months. But after 4 months or one semester, the previous church that I was ministering to communicated with me, and they are really in need of my presence there. So I went back and I decided that I need to stop teaching at high school, and I need to go back to the church serving full time.
It's amazing, Pastor, because mostly I hear people. I got a lot of Bible school friends, pastors, and then mostly they go the other way around that you went. They would go, okay, my salary at the church is not providing me much. Let's just be real. So they go to teaching. In your case, it's very amazing. I find really amazing people that do that go from a stable job, a teaching job, and go back to pastoring. And I tell you, the viewers, so those viewers that are not really familiar with the work of a pastor, maybe there are churches that give a lot, but in I know we are the same denomination, the grace denomination. It kind of goes around the minimum, and it's not so big. So it's if to you to give up teaching work, for me it's amazing, Pastor. What made that decision? Your personal uh, thought of it.
Yeah. After I graduated in the Bible school,
Mm-mm.
2003, I really made a decision, a personal decision that I also need to enhance my
Mm-mm.
personal capability. And before I went to the Bible school, I have already enrolled 1 year in college at Iligan Institute of Technology. But after 1 year, I decided that I need to go to the Bible school because
Mm-mm.
I'm convinced that that is really God's calling for me. And after I graduated in the Bible school, the Lord has been using my life to pioneer a church in Metro Manila area. And while pastoring the church, pioneering the church, I also studied college because
Mm-mm.
it's already in my mind that I need to improve also, not
Mm-mm.
just in terms of teaching theology,
Mm-mm.
but also
True,
in
true.
terms of really like looking for strategies or whatever ways and means that I
Mm-mm.
can use for the ministry. So my purpose really of going to college is so that it can complement my ministry in the church. So first and foremost, my priority really is ministry. So that's why it's not hard for me to decide
Okay.
to leave my teaching career and go back to serving full time in the church.
Also, I get it now. So your purpose for going back to schooling was for enhancing your skills to be applied to the ministry again.
Yes,
So
yes.
so do you believe, Pastor, going with your point, do you believe that pastors nowadays should really think that way?
Based on my personal experience and personal observation, we can see, especially nowadays, that a lot of things really changes very fast, and part of it is like for example in the schools. Usually, the curriculum in the school should change once every 4 years, or maybe not really change it, but there should be like a committee that should look
Mm-mm.
into are the curriculum still relevant? Is this kind of strategy or a way still like really working effectively? So that's what for me, I think for us, those who are serving in the church, should also consider the different changes that are happening around us. And I think part of it is that uh, during those time, I was really convinced that as a church minister, as a person who is serving in the church, I
Mm-mm.
also need to enhance myself. Because like uh, pastoring a church, like we have so many different kinds of members or people in
Mm-mm.
the church. So we also need to enhance, let's say, like the teaching strategy,
Mm-mm.
or like our like personal and professional development, or
Mm-mm.
we should say that way.
And also there were policies in the schools that say that you had to change the curriculum, right? Is it right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it still works that way right
Mm-mm.
now, but before, I know that at least once every 4 years, there's a committee that will look into the curriculum of the school.
Mm-mm.
If is it still relevant? Is it still
Mm-mm.
effective? And most of the time, the committee will really provide recommendations that, yeah, we need to change something. We need
Mm-mm.
to do something like this because this one is the one that is relevant for now, and even it will become relevant like in 1 or 2 or 3 years from now, something like that.
So indirectly speaking, you are trying, if I get what you are saying, you are trying to say that there is also a need to the church and the Bible school, I think in general sense, to look to look at education, spiritual education and theological education in that way, Pastor. We should have always an upgrading. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think so. That's really the principle. It doesn't mean that pastors should go to college, but the point really is that we should never stop learning. We should
Mm-mm.
never stop educating ourselves. That's what the Bible is
Mm-mm.
encouraging us to do. We must continue with our study and developing our personality and even professionalism
Mm-mm.
in terms of pastoring a
Mm-mm.
church.
I really agree with you, Pastor. Even when you said that it does not mean a bachelor's degree in a secular course, no, because in our era, given the Google can help you in many ways. You can search things. I agree with you,
Very true.
Pastor, that we pastors and laymen should really continue to seek to learn more and more. And even I think, Pastor, do you agree with me, Pastor, that it does not necessarily need to be theology or let's say education. It could be general skills like planting and maybe building houses, because in the ministry that helps a lot. If I in much more in a missionary point of view, right? Do you agree with me?
Yes, yes, I agree 100%. Like wherever God has planted you, you need to bloom.
Mm-mm.
And the kind of ministry that you are doing, it's also like it should be contextualized
Mm-mm.
also.
Mm-mm.
Like what's there in that place, the group of people that you are ministering to, what's really the line of let's just say the way how they are learning things, the
Mm-mm.
way how they are doing business, or how they are
Mm-mm.
what's their perspective in the sense of studies or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that all focus is all about biblical studies. I mean, like
How about
if that's the
example in
way.
your place, Pastor? Can you give an example in your place how this thought applies in your place, let's say in Cambodia right now, so the viewers
Okay.
can understand your environment and how you can use, like we were talking, not only this the what you call this the theological and those things, but other skills can be used, let's say in Cambodia right now.
Okay. For example, like Cambodia is like around 95% really are affiliated or associated to Buddhism.
Okay.
And for the past 2 decades or 20 years, the growth of Christianity, let's just say it's really minimal. But
Mm,
we can see like there's really a ray of hope, especially for those missionaries who are really doing different kinds of ways. Like, for example, others are really, aside from teaching theological learnings, some are also engaging the locals in music,
mm-mm.
engaging in I know there are some like also engaging in terms of agriculture. Those things are really like not really that direct related to biblical studies,
Mm-mm.
but uh, like you are to build a relationship with people,
Mm-mm.
and you are to know those people more, those people whom you are ministering to, what are their needs. If those people are hungry, I
True.
mean literally physically hungry,
Yeah, I like
you
that.
cannot just
Yeah, I like that.
preach the word of God.
They're
We
hungry.
understand that that's the priority.
Yeah.
That's the main goal for missions. We really need to present the gospel in a way that people will really understand that Jesus died and was buried and rose again on the third day, so that people need to believe on that gospel so that they will be saved. But at the same time, ministry should be holistic. We also need to find the other way. How can we also not just help them spiritually, but in other aspects
Mm-mm.
as well.
So yeah, that's really good. I reacted just earlier because I really like I used that mindset also to my members before. I said that how can you
Mm.
go to evangelize with people and they're hungry? You should give them something to eat, fill their stomach first,
Mhm.
and then you preach. In psychology, in fact, a person cannot think well with an empty stomach. So what you said, I
True.
totally agree, Pastor. So in terms a missionary, if I'm correct, I'm trying to paraphrase what you said. uh, in terms a missionary should look first to the needs before trying to insert the teaching, right? Because it's kind of you sound like a hypocrite trying to for me, this is my opinion. This kind of sound like an hypocrite if you go to a homeless person and start giving the gospel, and you
Mm.
can see that he is in need of an empty stomach. I believe, if you agree with me, I believe you can give a piece of bread while you talk so he can eat, and think, right, Pastor? But would you agree with
Uh,
that?
yeah, I agree. But at least we should not miss the point also of
Mm-mm.
creating a dependency of
Ay,
people, that
okay.
people will become
Yeah,
dependent on you.
that's a good point.
But of course, yeah, like for example, maybe in the Philippines, the case is different, since almost all people really know about the Bible, know about Jesus,
Mm-mm.
know who God is. But
Mm-mm.
in countries like Cambodia and
Cambodia,
our neighboring countries here, like majority are Buddhist.
Buddhist. Oh.
They don't really have idea who Jesus is, what's the Bible, or something like that. So, part really of creating a relationship. You cannot just say something or share something what you believe, and it's like you are trampling down their belief.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you are not making a bridge. Instead, you are building a wall if you're going to do it that way. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's kind of like I used to say when people that really like to debate, I would say that a debate is good, but I think that we should settle first. Are we okay with the salvation? If we are okay in the
Mm.
salvation, let's go to the other topics. Because what would you agree, Pastor? There's no other more important than salvation, right?
Oh
That is
yeah,
of,
of course.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I like your point. We should really see. So in comparing the Philippines with Cambodia, it's different in a sense that here they really already when you approach, they already know who is Jesus,
Yes.
who is let's say Paul, who is what they call Adam or like that. But if you go in Cambodia, you are really starting from nothing, right? So how do you do
Yes.
that, Pastor? Could you share with us how do you start talking of somebody that he haven't not known since his whole life? I think.
Uh, Maybe for me and my wife, we are blessed that there were previous missionaries who came before us,
Mhm.
and they have really started the groundwork. And there's also a different scenario in terms of the situation in the provinces or in the villages compared to here in the city. Because at least here in the city, people are really more exposed to what's happening around the world because of technology,
Mm-mm.
internet. Most of the people here really have access to watching YouTube or
Mm-mm.
even like watching someone preaching, but they don't really have any idea what that person is
Mm-mm.
talking about. But at least there's that exposure already. For me and my wife, when we arrived here, we worked with two other missionaries. And since my background is really more into church planting, and we saw the opportunity already knew about salvation, about the Bible, about Jesus. But of course, one of the main priority really in mission is reaching the unreached. Uh, there's really that idea of really uh, creating a good relationship with the locals, especially those locals that
Gain
don't know
trust,
who
right?
Jesus is. Yes, uh, and it's a long-term process.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I can
You
imagine it.
cannot just yes, you cannot just like after 1 week or 1 month that you're acquainted with that person. You cannot just really like like share the gospel immediately, because
Because
otherwise
you're going
there are
against
many.
their. You're right. Yeah, and
Very true.
yeah.
And especially here that when the locals are uh, we say like when they're changing their religion or belief, most of the time they are being persecuted by their
Oh,
families, and sometimes like they are being treated as castaway. It's like
really?
you're no longer, yeah. And we know people that are in our church now that before at the first few months or years in their lives after believing in Jesus, they really experience literal persecution. That one of them was even beaten by her
Oh,
mother and older sister, and
so
they say like, we need to beat you so that that Jesus that you believe will go out from your body, so, something like that. Yeah.
so was it a young person?
Yes, that time she was still like young people.
Yeah. So it's kind of amazing, right? Because here we are and in a country that is totally free, freedom of speech is rampant here. have a democracy working, even though you do not like the government. Some do not like, some like, but we are still free to say and believe what you want because we have freedom of for
Yes.
everything here. But I see in Cambodia it's kind of different. People don't really have that freedom with their family. I guess in that case, it's really amazing. You hardly see people here that get beaten because they change religion. The Philippines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is something new. But I won't judge the culture. I think that is also one of the challenges of missionaries, right? So I want to
Yeah.
ask. So finally, I have having so much fun talking, but I want to go to my main question. Now, my main question, Pastor, tonight is, um, when I think of a missionary, when I was young, because grew in a Christian family, and my mom used to teach Sunday school. With me, it was different, Pastor. I would get beaten if I do not sit right in the Sunday school and go home, you get spanked. So you better listen. So I should listen. But I my favorite story, Pastor, I will share with you. It's the CF stories, the missionary stories. I love it. It's
Mhm.
for me it's beautiful. And also I watch movies about different religion as the Mormons. There's a movie about a Mormon
Mhm.
that went to the Fuji Islands. I don't know if you have watched that movie. And then he was a missionary there. Anyways, it's amazing that the perception of missionary when I was young, and I think many people right now, sorry, they believe that missionary are people that go to the jungle, meet up with cannibals, or go to the deep forest and get malaria and stuff. But it kind of the times now we are working in a different jungle, and like you said,
Mm.
we are working in the the skyscraper jungles. So we are in the cities. So my question would be like this. So what is how do a missionary work right in this era? We are not going anymore. We are not training. We are not getting our training to go to the jungles anymore like it was used to be, but we are rather going to the cities. Do you think that there's a big change in how missionary goes? And that is one of the reason I chose you as a guest today, because I see you as still a young. You are not young, but compared to the others, you are
Still young.
a, a rising star. Joke. A young missionary. So my question would be that working in a, is it has missionary work really changed?
Maybe let's really go back to the Apostle Paul. Uh,
Okay.
During his, I think, a second missionary journey. Uh, this is the principle that we are following, especially for me and my wife. And I think basically most of what TCA missionaries are doing
Okay.
now. When Paul wanted to, I think in Acts chapter 16, when Paul really wanted to go to those provinces and villages, but the Spirit stopped him.
Yeah.
And during the night, there was a vision that there's a man in the city that is calling for help, that Paul, you need to come over here. And that place, when the Apostle Paul saw that vision, that's in Troas. And later on, we know that they went to Philippi. That's one of the major city in the province of Macedonia during that time. And later on, we also learned that the Apostle Paul stayed for several months or more than a year in Ephesus, training the 12 elders. And later on, those trained people, they are the ones who went to the villages and towns. And we can read in Acts that almost everyone in the province were able to hear the gospel.
Okay.
So it's like basically, so maybe if it's just the Apostle Paul who really went village to village, no, he don't have much enough time to do that. I think for now, if we just go back to the strategy of the Apostle Paul, uh, uh, after like his second missionary journey, he was really targeting key cities in areas that he went to. And of course, he really worked with the key people. And those key people then are the ones who are really moving forward to those villages and towns and
Okay, okay.
sharing the gospel. Yeah. So I think that's the kind of strategy that we are also applying here in Cambodia,
Mm-mm.
since most of the people here, especially those who are we are ministering to, some of them came from the provinces, and Asians, we have close family ties, so it's impossible that these people will not go to the province to visit their
Mm.
families, or perhaps a time will come that they will decide to, oh, let's just go back to the province and live there. So if those people are being trained and equipped in really handling the message of grace, then let's just trust the Lord that the Lord will use their lives in bringing that light, bringing that gospel to their respective places.
So okay, so I get it. So the changes in uh so you mean to say that right now you target first the cities to cover more area, and from there
Yes.
you can train, so that you train the people there, and then they can go to the provinces and maybe share. So it's like, so so right now it means to say that you are working in a big city in Cambodia training, but you casually go to also to the villages many times also, right? Or it's
Uh,
hard in Cambodia to move around?
Before, there were times that since we have ministry before in the village or in the province, but now really the focus really is the people who are here, that's available, and who are committed to be trained. That's really the focus, and the there are really more opportunities of sharing the gospel. I mean, there's really no comparison. Like you cannot compare province and city, but of course, uh, as our observation is that we can have more opportunity really in sharing and in training people that can someday be our
Mm.
partners in the ministry.
Yeah, that is good. That is good. Because if we don't train, I have this thought, Pastor. If we don't train people that can work when we are gone, so for me, we are at failure at our leadership and teaching, because we are giving, like you said in the beginning, we are making them dependent to us. And what you are doing, it's nice because you are training people that can what you call multiply the ministry in many ways,
Mhm.
right? So it's I think it's a good mindset. That is how maybe I would go to. Um, but isn't there a challenge to work in the big cities? I know that in big cities you don't have neighbors, you don't have people that live in there, right? So is it a challenge, or do you like go to the students, or go to let's say Filipinos that are there? How do you strategize the, like in the beginning? I want to know how do you start.
Uh, One of the challenge really is, of course, the language, because
Mm. Yeah, you cannot go if you,
we really
yeah,
need to learn and
yeah.
speak their language. We are just blessed that we were able to meet people, local people who can also understand and
Mm.
speak English, and those are the people really that we are focusing also in training, because at least like there's one hindrance that you were able to overcome already,
Mm.
language. But of course, my wife and I, we are continuing with our learning of the language. I think maybe even if we will spend 10 or 15 years, we cannot become master of their language.
Yeah, yeah, too
It's
hard.
just so different, yeah.
Yeah,
And in the Philippines,
yeah.
we already spoke a lot of dialects. And when you come to the field, for us, when we come to Cambodia, wow, we had another kind of dialect.
I remember
So,
when I went to Thailand, Pastor. I want to share. When I
uh-huh.
went to Thailand, it was really hard for me because you do not have alphabet. So how do you read?
Mm,
It's supposed to be, if you want to learn like Bahasa Indonesia, Indonesian
mhm.
language, you can just read. Also,
Yeah.
so salamat is thank you and makan is eat.
Mhm.
You can read.
Mm,
The problem with I do not know if is the letters like different in Cambodia.
I think Thailand and Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, almost the
Yeah.
same. Like
So
it's yeah.
it's symbolic, right? So when I went to Thailand, I really had a hard time. They don't speak English. You cannot read signs. So it's I really don't. It's not easy to judge. Oh, Pastor James is how many years in Cambodia still cannot speak the language. But I tell you, it's I've been to Thailand. It's a challenge. But some people are blessed and really can get it right away. But it's really hard, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can you write?
Uh, my wife Agape, she's better than me in
Yeah.
writing and reading. Me really, my focus is more on speaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Partners.
But I think like we still have neighbors and like using really connections. So when we
Okay.
started the local church, when we arrived here after a few months, we started the local congregation, and people that were like coming to the church, it's really from the connection of those people who are with us already. So we really try to encourage and to engage with those people who are with us already, that we really
That's
need them.
nice.
We really need their help, so that the ministry really will flourish. And we really try to emphasize to them that we cannot do it alone. Even if we are missionaries, whatever our background is, we cannot do it
True.
alone. We need the locals.
Yeah, that is a very I like that. It's you are humble enough to understand that there are things that I cannot do it my own, and then you need those people. So they are like your arms and feet and eyes and mouth there. So
Mm.
that is true. I'm so glad that you have friends there. So just to wrap it up, so what is the recreation? I saw one a post. I really miss playing soccer, and then I saw a post that you were playing soccer. I was really envious. Sorry, Lord, I was really envious that Pastor James is playing soccer, but was not a field soccer, right? It was like an enclosure.
Just a small one, not really the regular soccer field. Just a small one, but good for like 6 people every team. It's also one of the ways like for me, so that I can be physically fit, but at the same time, it's really one of the ways also that I can really know more friends,
Mm,
know more local people. I play soccer because like I think three of our church people are inviting me, and that's really a good opportunity to really know more people, and of
true.
course to also train them, like they should be the one who will also be engaging with those
Mm,
other guys who are playing soccer, that we are in the church. Just start the conversation with that way, and sometimes people will become curious and interested to know more.
mm. Yeah, I believe that sports, hobbies, healthy habits, and can really
Mm.
help in building relationship. Like you said, that is like what I got from what you're saying, that your ministry evolved really with the relationship with the locals, because you really need them to to complete what you want, right? But
Very true. Yeah.
um, so maybe one day I can visit it, and then we can play some soccer too.
Sure.
Please, COVID, please go away. My last question, Pastor, because we are almost on the time. But
Okay.
I had one topic, but I don't think we have time, because I want to keep this less than 1 hour. No,
Mhm.
my last question is, Pastor James, what is your ultimate goal right now in your life as a whole? Do you want to stay in Cambodia until you die, or do you want to do something with your life? What is your ultimate, or do you want to go to other countries? May you share the viewers what is your ultimate goal as a missionary right now?
Yeah. I think for now, since I'm already married, so it's unfair that I will be saying that it's my ultimate goal.
Yeah,
Since I'm
you
married
both.
now, so it's our
Yeah,
goal.
yeah.
And of course, like uh, to glorify God in whatever we do.
Mm.
But in the sense that related to our missionary life. We don't know. Maybe God will allow us to stay here in Cambodia for 10 more years. We don't know,
Wow.
15 more years. We don't know really. But me and Agape, part of our discussion really is that we still want to go back to the Philippines and really help our Bible school. But of course, the idea really is not if we want to go back, it's not that we are very old already. At least we can still like use
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
ourselves, something like that. So we were really thinking like maybe we still have 10 years here. So that's why our target really here is to train and equip people so that by the time that we will leave, or by the time that God will call us to another place or a new kind of ministry, the ministry will still continue.
Mm-mm.
The
Yeah, that is
ministry will
nice.
not be dependent on missionaries, but the locals will now be
Yes, that is nice.
managing and handling the ministry here.
Yeah, that is amazing. That is nice. Yeah, I like it what you said, that you to the point. I will quote that, to the point that they would not need missionaries anymore.
True.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think that is the first time I heard that. That is good. I like that quote. So to the point that they do not need missionaries anymore. Stand on their own. Yeah, teaching Bible school, pastor. I think it's every pastor's dream, because it's like something that it's just because we want to share what we know, right? I know.
Yes, very true.
So I hope, pastor, that we can talk again, and then we can go
Sure.
to, because it's if to the viewers, I just want to explain. Uh, I have to introduce first Pastor just because he's kind of broad. He's not in the Philippines, so we can have no. We have at our time. We don't have time to speak on the topics that are really. Now that you know him, maybe if we have a second episode, we can talk on issues that matter, that we can see where you are on things that is happening in the world. Would you, if I invite you, I hope you can you accept my invitation again. Okay.
Sure.
So
Sure.
uh so thank you everyone for watching our show, and also thank my guest, Pastor James Romejo, and maybe I will invite his wife to talk some in another segment. For the viewers that are watching this, I want to say that there may be things that you don't agree, there may be things that you like. Please comment below, or even if you are ashamed to comment, you can just PM. I know Pastor James is open to any question, even the harsh one, and those questions that is very hard. Just throw it to him. I know he is of sports, and he will answer your question. Same with me. You can look up me in Facebook. I will just try to leave a link, and then you can ask the things, and you can share if you don't agree with many points that we made, because I believe that we can agree to disagree on topics. So good night. So thank you so much, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and also, like I said again, comment, because that helps us build more topics. Okay, so that was Pastor James Bermejo, uh, missionary to Cambodia. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor Steve.
Hey,
And
what is the
I will
greeting? Teach
yeah,
us
I
the
will end
greeting.
this with
Yeah.
in a Khmer or Cambodian
Okay.
language. Okoncharan ng Preyong Putienpo.
Oh, okay. I cannot say that, Pastor. I'm sorry. So I will just write what you said.
So that's
So-
like thank you very much and may God bless you.
Can you say it again? One more time?
Okoncharan ng Preyong Putienpo.
Okay. Thank you. And God bless everyone.
Thank you, Pastor Steve.
If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell for more updates. See ya!